Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the National Naval Aviation Museum Story Time. Today we have a real interesting story for you, at least I think it is. And before I start, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Ty Lewis, and I'm a naval aviator. I was in the Marine Corps, but still naval aviator. This story has some real interest for me because it's about someone who was dreaming about flying. This story is told to us by a young man who's talking about his uncle. It's called Wind Flyers. And he's talking about his great uncle, but he refers to him as uncle. I'm going to show you a picture of our storyteller here, and let's get started with the story. Great uncle was a wind flyer, a smooth wind flyer, a Tuskegee wind flyer. His whole life, all he ever wanted to do was fly. With his arms flapping, he jumped off a chicken coop when he was 5. Now, I don't recommend that you do this at home. Here's a picture of him jumping off off the chicken coop. Don't do that at home. Then he jumped off a barn into soft hay when he was 7. Uncle says it's because he watched some birds fly that day. So here he is jumping out of the barn into the haystack. Don't try this at home. Don't do that. When he was 11, he paid 75 cents to go up with a flying barnstormer. I did the same thing in 1960, but it cost me $7. So 75 cents was a really good deal, I'd have to say. And here's a picture of him. He paid his 75 cents to go up with that barnstormer. Inflation is really something, isn't it? Well, then you can relate to this fellow. It's as he's flying along here, you see, and he's thinking when he's flying with this barnstormer, it's what heaven must be, Uncle says to me, with clouds like soft blankets, saying, come in, get warm, stay a while, and be a wind flyer too. They flew over fields and lakes, and Uncle just knew if he could get a good grip on those clouds, they would be his. He cried when they landed because then he knew what it was like to go into the wind, against the wind. And here he is walking away from the barnstormer, and you can see the sad expression on his face. He was sad to see that end. There was magic in the wind back then, he says. When he was older, Uncle became a Tuskegee Airman with the 332nd. He studied hard and flew in a war. Air Force didn't want us at first, he said. Only 4 squadrons like us, he said. And here's a picture of him in the group of people when he became a Tuskegee Airman. Did you see it? That's it. Whoever illustrated this was really a talented person. And when his plane left the red Alabama dirt and flew into the air, he hoped he would never come down. So here's a picture of him at Tuskegee going up to fly and leaving his friends on the ground. He was really into it by that time. He had finally become a wind flyer, a smooth wind flyer, a Tuskegee wind flyer, flying high above it all, never to touch the earth again, forever a wind flyer. And here's a real nice picture of some of the Tuskegee Airmen standing in front of the airplane, one of the airplanes that they flew when he was in World War II. When I asked him if it was a big war, Uncle says they all are, but that's over now. And here's a picture of his airplane leading some bombers in Europe where they were. You see that? See that? Mm-hmm. The red tails they were called. We were something, he said. Some of us didn't come back, but we never lost a plane we protected. Then Uncle points at a picture of him and the wind flyers, those smooth wind flyers, those Tuskegee wind flyers, young and brave, brave and young, all of them. And he's looking at his photo album, showing it to the nephew there. You see the picture of him looking at in the photo album. Uncle crop dusted some right after the war. That's the only way he could still fly. The only way he could still catch the clouds and feel the wind. He says flying is different now, though. And here's a picture, an interesting picture of them sitting on top of the barn, our storyteller and his uncle watching the clouds and watching the planes go. And in this photo, you see a high-speed airplane leaving a contrail. So he's telling them things are different now. Faster planes, more people than ever. But Uncle says the clouds still sound the same. He holds my hand and we watch new wind flyers jet through the clouds. Then once in a while he takes me up and we become the smooth wind flyers, Tuskegee wind flyers, flying into the wind, against the wind, beyond the wind, the magical wind. And look at this photo. You see him in the back seat of the airplane with his uncle. That's our storyteller. That's some great art there. And then it goes on to tell a little bit about it. And here's the back of the story. It's talking about these same people. So that's our story. That's the wind flyers. This Tuskegee Airmen. Ooh, that's it.
Pretty nice story.
Well, it certainly is. Did you like that?